For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
All right, welcome to episode 72 of the Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. It's a good day. Somehow it's a good day. It's a good day to be alive. The sun is shining and the air is just right for drinking. But alas, I am not going to booze today. I'm going to go and take a beating, and then I think I'm going to go sit outside for a little while, try to relax a little bit. But man, I'll tell you, it feels good, dude. There's a lot of good shit happening. It feels like the worm has definitely turned, and these tiny hats are, as they say in the parlance of our times, up against it like a motherfucker. So I figured today, talk about a couple things going on out there, and just kind of get in the car, see where it takes us. Most likely we just end up at Chili's, you know. I'll take the club sandwich. But yeah, taking a look around, man, I saw a lot of cool shit going on. Some not so cool shit, but let's get to the cool shit first. First, the cool shit is that, man, these Israelis, they are shitting the bed in grand style. So I guess old Bibi put out, like, basically an ultimatum. Like, you know, if you're a total charity case, how in the wide world of fuck do you get off, like, handing ultimatums to motherfuckers? Like, you better fucking do X, Y, and Z, or fucking else. Like, how? How does it work? Like, I should have tried that with my folks. You know, like when I was a kid growing up, like, yeah, I realize you pay for every aspect of me staying alive. You know, the roof over my head, the food I put in my face, the clothes on my back. But I'm going to tell you something. You better just do X, Y, and Z or else. What? I think I would have just got a beat down day one. But, you know, in fairness, probably there was no footage of me, you know, with underage children or any kind of thing. So, you know, I could see where maybe when the shoe is on the other hand, that's the way it goes. But they tried to sell it for a good while. And now if you haven't seen, this UN Security Council thing has just came out with, and there's some debate, I guess, on whether or not it's a binding resolution. But the UN Security Council has just come out saying that, like, Israel, well, they don't say Israel, but they do say all parties, which insofar as it ain't exactly Palestine bombing the shit out of Israelis, is it? I do, in as much as the next man, you know, I do enjoy those videos of Israeli tanks and what have you getting just wrecked. Like those Hamas little videos, dude, those are, I dig it, man. I dig how they put together, you know, it's kind of a steady, reliable format of like dun 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 dun, and the little like little Mission Impossible words pop up that I can't fucking read, and then like the little arrow that's like right here. Here's what's gonna get wrecked right here. Like, all right, let's check it out. And then pow, like the thing blows up, and then they give you a little slow motion replay, like blowing up, bro. I like it, dude. I think it's a good time. But realistically, I mean, those are small fry, as they say. And these poor fucking Palestinians, and again, man, like, I didn't lose my wallet in fucking Palestine. But, I mean, watching somebody with no ability to defend themselves just get fucking smoked. I mean, that just ain't cool, you know, in any context to me. You know, if it's somebody that fucked around, somebody that had it coming, but when it's just somebody, and I mean, dude, these motherfuckers, dude, I mean, they have beaten the absolute shit out of these people. So by way of a quick review, like it appears that Gaza is broken down into like 5 sections, and they started in North Gaza, and just started smashing the shit out of these people all the way down the line and they keep saying, like, you gotta go south, and every time they go south, they wrecked the shit out of that region and then just keep pushing them south. So now they're in Rafah, the last region, the southernmost end of Gaza, right at the border with Egypt. And now it's been this debate of like, do we just go in, bro? We're going to do something, bro. What are you going to fucking do about it, bro? And it's like, these people are fucking defenseless. Like, they've lived in an open-air prison, you know, since the fucking 60s. So what the fuck do you want, you know? But it is pretty cool seeing, like, the UN situation, though, to be specific, the language of this UN resolution, this UN Security Council resolution, is such that I want to say that it leaves a little bit of room for debate, but I think it was a smart move to put it that way, because now it at least leaves the door open where if the UN, to whatever degree they are capable of actually doing anything or enforcing anything, doesn't put themselves right up against it immediately. So the deal with the language was that all parties involved, that the UN Security Council demands, and this was sort of the word that this all hinges on, UN Security Council demands a ceasefire, an immediate ceasefire, to continue through Ramadan. So Ramadan, if you don't know, is like this Muslim month, and I don't know how they measure it or exactly when it is, because I was there for like 3 straight Ramadans. I was in the Middle East, and it ain't a good time by any fucking stretch. But the deal with Ramadan is they don't eat during daylight hours. So I guess the idea is they're supposed to, I don't know, hang around and pray, and I don't know exactly what or why. I ain't Muslim. I don't look that far into it. But they don't eat during daylight hours, and then as soon as it's night, now they all get together, they eat a lot, they bang gongs, they yell at the moon, this kind of thing. But they do take this shit kind of seriously. So, I mean, like, I was in Afghanistan, and one of our interpreters was like, this guy didn't give a fuck. And he was so thoroughly Americanized. Well, I mean, I don't know that I would say Americanized. He was Americanized in the sense that he didn't give a shit about Ramadan. I'll tell you that. But this guy didn't give a shit about Ramadan. We actually had a picture of this guy, and I think I'd mentioned this before, eating pork rinds in the compound, like cruising around the compound, eating pork rinds in the middle of the day over Ramadan. He's like, nobody gives a fuck, bro. A lot of people eat at Ramadan. We're like, okay, do your thing. I don't give a shit. But your average Muslim, man, some of the what do you call it, like Afghan spec ops dudes, I can't remember what they call them. It don't matter. Anyway, those guys, like, it was a real pain in the ass when we had to do interop missions with those guys, because they wouldn't eat all day during Ramadan, and now it's night and you're supposed to roll, but they're like, dude, I got to get something to fucking eat because I'm fucking starving. I didn't eat all day. Like, they actually do this shit. So they take the shit seriously. So you can imagine, like, if you're not fucking eating all day plus getting blown up all day, like, that probably fucking sucks. But I digress. So back to the fucking UN thing. They put out, like, they demand UN National Security or Security Council demands a ceasefire during the Ramadan period, and like, I think it said, like, ostensibly following on after, but it didn't specify, you know, you must follow on after any of this kind of shit. So the whole UN Security Council voted to implement this resolution, and the U.S. abstained. So the U.S. has veto power where UN Security Council is concerned, but in this instance, they didn't say shit. They're just like, I'm just going to fucking stay out of it. So they didn't even vote. If they voted no, like if they voted fuck this, then it would be okay, it's off the table. But that would really, really put the U.S. like on your own. Like, you are completely thrown in with Israel. You ain't got a friend in the fucking world except Israel, who is quite honestly losing their ass. Like, dig this shit. Like, what kind of shitbox soldier are you that, like, you've had your opposition locked up, like, in an open-air prison, no shit, for, like, what, 50 years or whatever it is? I can't count. But a long, long fucking time. And now you just decide kind of unilaterally, and, you know, you can hand me like October 7th all day, whatever, dude. And whether it was the CIA, whether it was Hamas, whether it was Mossad did it to themselves, whether it was get eyes on, let it happen on purpose, whether it was like get a look at it and maybe give it a little boost, whatever the fuck it was, you still got like, you took some heavies. I wouldn't even say heavies. Like what, a few hundred people, 1,000 people, something like that. Okay. Obviously not your first line soldiers, not your heavy hitters, but then you just go fucking hard as fuck, like blanket destruction, coming at these people, like coming at straight non-combatants, and still getting your asses handed to you. So I understand that they were talking about, like, yeah, we're going to postpone this Rafah thing, and they're talking about, like, we're going to do it, because we're going to be cool, we're going to try to let you release these hostages, and, you better release them, bro, we're going to give you a chance, bro. For my money is because these Israelis are getting fucked up. I saw that video that somebody posted in the chat, and it's like these 3 Israeli dudes roll into this house, and, like, obviously, like, these people are obviously going just house to house, just fucking shit up, just smoking people left, right, and center. So when they roll into this fucking house, like, don't try to tell me, that, like, Osama bin Laden, whoever the fuck is hanging out in this house, you had to go in there and get him, like, you saw the tracksuit running to this house, you got to get it on. Like, no, dude, you're just going house to house fucking shit up. So these motherfuckers roll into this house, dude, and now, mind you, this shit's been going on since October. And I can tell you, man, that, like, going to war, if you're gonna fucking be able to do it at all, like, you will develop an ability for it, man. Like, just like fighting, dude. You might not even be the best at it, but you'll get to where, like, yeah, dude, I'm accustomed to this shit now. But these motherfuckers, dude, like, these guys suck. And they roll in here, and they're, like, camped out in somebody's front room, and no, and I don't know what they're saying, but even if it was English, it's like, it wouldn't matter. Because it's like, there's somebody over there. I think there's somebody in there. Let's get another guy in here. Get a guy over there. And they're just talking it up, man. I mean, it's like, it's ridiculous. And they're all bobbledy-boobbleding and moving around and just kind of a mess, dude. And I mean, this was the kind of shit that I would see, when I was instructing. And I'd just lose my shit. Like, stop getting fucking bogged down. Keep goddamn moving. When you just stand still like that, any idiot, like any balloon head with a rifle back there could just start laying waste because it's their house. They know their house better than you know their house. You've been in here for like 10 seconds. But when you just stand there and like, you try to gameplay the shit through, like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, all you got to do is keep moving. Don't shoot when your friends are moving in front of you. Don't move in front of your friends who are shooting. All right? This shit ain't that tricky. It really ain't that tricky. Motherfuckers make it a lot harder than it needs to be. And these dudes are bobbledy-boobbleding, and somebody back there, it's like, it's really comedy because you can kind of tell that, like, they just gave somebody enough time to get their AK rigged up, and they start fucking around, and one guy starts to walk down the hall, and whoever it is back there just unloads fucking blam, 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 and like 4 of these Israeli, bunny ears soldiers just go hauling ass out of this house. They just ran for their fucking lives. I was like, good God almighty, dude. And I mean, honestly, they probably just dropped the JDAM on the house later, but it was like, you guys, you suck. Like, you genuinely suck. Like, I mean, you have these guys totally outmatched, totally outgunned, totally outfunded. You got the drop on them in every conceivable way. You're going against women and kids, dude. And even half of them, you're only bombing from the sky. And yet, you're getting fucked up. Like, why in the wide world of fuck do you suck so bad, And you can try to come with that fucking, survival of the fittest fucking big boy rules. I kick your ass, I get your shit. Like, okay, dude, you can try to pitch that, but I mean, at the end of the day, you fucking chug. Like, there's no part of this that you're fucking good at. I mean, just keep them diapers pulled up, keep sucking, and I guess just pray to God that you could suck NATO into this thing or suck the U.S. into this thing or some kind of a fucking thing, because you ain't winning this shit on your own. And it appears, what it looks like is that, and I don't know, I haven't seen the details of this, but it looks like Egypt has started taking a more aggressive posture insofar as, like, dude, if you proceed, like, Egypt is getting ready to start bringing some fucking heat. And I think they're in a good position to, because really the only thing that had kept them from doing so far is the threat of the U.S. coming after them and the U.S. money coming through the door to kind of buy them off. But with all the U.S. money going to Ukraine and increasingly to Israel, and the inability of the U.S. to field Granted, like, it wouldn't take much to smoke an Egypt if we were going to just focus on that and go toe to toe. But with so many commitments in so many places, it's like, how much of a threat is the U.S. really if Egypt decides, like, you know what, Israel, I've had it with your shit. Now this is happening. What the fuck you going to do about it, Uncle Sam? You going to make a mean face? You going to send that rickety old man out there fucking wave his finger around and fumble fuck through some words? Like, I don't think you got the minerals for it, son. And especially at election time when this motherfucker is already unpopular. So, I mean, you be the judge, fuck stick. But I don't think it looks good for an Israel. And to sort of wrap up on the binding resolution situation. So the U.S.'s position is that by saying we demand instead of, it is decided that, or the UN has declared that, or this kind of thing, instead of saying like it will be so, that this is really more optional. It's not a binding resolution, as in like you don't absolutely have to fucking... Jesus, I'm watching these two fucking balloon-headed kids almost get run over. Anyway, like they don't have to fucking do this. It's kind of like it's optional or some shit. But I think the U.S. does recognize, like, this is kind of your last chance, too, to sort of unfuck yourself and unentangle yourself from this Israeli fuck-up, because these people are becoming insanely unpopular. But moving along, though, with the kind of continuing on that Ramadan tip is the idea that allegedly some jihadi terrorists, some Islamic terrorists decided, during this month of Ramadan that they were going to go blow up something in Russia, that they were going to do a terror attack in Russia. I don't fucking buy it. I think most people don't buy it. If you weren't aware of it, there was an attack in Moscow at I believe it was a music venue, or like a public recreation area venue type thing called the Crocus Theater, I think it was. And what had happened is, I guess at one point, and this was a few weeks back, the U.S. put out on the State Department site that U.S. citizens are warned against going to public gatherings in and around Moscow, to avoid, specifically, it was saying like concerts, music festivals, this kind of thing. So this suggests that they had some kind of an idea that something might go on. So apparently then a handful of gunmen, they're talking about 4, but possibly more. It sounded like, it's what I'm making of it is 4 gunmen, opened fire at this Crocus Music Theater, this center, whatever it is exactly. And it appears that they killed like 100, and I think it was 104 people, and like 100 plus wounded. So the trouble here with this is that the U.S. immediately came out and said, no, Ukraine is not responsible. Ukraine had no hand in this. So the problem here is that the way this went down is that after this happened, people immediately got on the phone, got on the radio, and these 4 gunmen jumped in a white Renault getaway car, I guess, and began heading for the Ukraine border. They got stopped, or I guess they were being pursued or had been identified, and then for whatever reason, they stopped the car, pulled off into the woods, and took off on foot. The Russian military, I guess, who are not restricted in the same way as the U.S. military is restricted, like these people can operate within Russia, they got after them and they rolled these fuckers up, and rolled up all 4 of them, I guess. They had dogs out, they had everybody, every man and his dog was out there beating the bushes for these fucking guys. So they rolled them up, and it turned out to be 4 Tajiks, people from Tajikistan, which I don't have a huge amount of visibility on, but as I understand it, there is a degree of animosity between Tajiks and Russians. Like, I guess Tajikistan, like a former Soviet satellite state, and it's its own scene, but they look at them, I guess, I don't know, maybe in a way that we would look at, like, I don't know, I want to say Mexicans, maybe, in that invasive sense, in that, like, why the fuck are you here sense, you know, when you see them, you know the type. Like that fucking guy that was pitching, hey, man, just show up and start squatting in people's houses, but that's an entire different story. We'll get to that in a minute. But, so I guess they don't really like them too much. And they don't have the same freedom of speech that we have in the U.S., so there are issues where, like, a Tajik will show up and start shit-talking Russians, or some Russian will shit-talk a Tajik that's in town visiting or doing his thing, and then it'll become, like, a huge thing. But in any case, it was 4 Tajiks. They rolled these guys up. I think at least one of them got smoked, I believe, but they rolled these dudes up, and they just started working one of these dudes, I guess, in field, cut his ear off, fucked him up pretty good. And to his credit, and I mean, again, man, like, say what you will, I have seen some things that I can't say that I'm too crazy about coming out of Russia. I mean, this business of like, these Nazis, we must fight these neo-Nazis and this, and I can't, it's that weird Russian vibe where, like, I can't completely tell where the line is between trolling and just your own kind of perception based on, you know, the Great Patriotic War, or like where are you getting this exactly? Because I know there is that Israeli sponsored, like, I don't know what you'd even call it, like some form of sort of LARPing. I mean, I see they got some Sonnenrad in there, and they've got some bolts or something, but it's like, what part of Ukraine or what part of Azov or what part of this idiocy in general is National Socialist in any way, shape, or form? Like, none at all. Like, this is fucking stupid. But they do run on about that, you know, and then there is a good degree of Hebrew involvement and Hebrew catering within Russia. And then, like, this other, like, multicultural embracing, I find it unsavory, but I mean, again, I don't live there. It's just an observation. But to his credit, Putin did come out immediately and sign, like, a waiver for, like, yeah, man, none of those guys are going to be charged. I don't give a shit what you do to them. Get fucking answers out of them yesterday. So these guys got fucking worked. And they're not, like, these Russians apparently are not talking in terms of, like, what exactly did these guys give up. But there is talk to some degree that a portion of the Ukraine border was open, like a corridor was made available, and how that was ID'd or how they completely arrived at this conclusion, I don't know. Like, maybe it's completely made up, but at this point, like, does Russia really need to make up any kind of an excuse for, like, here's why we're doing what we're doing? I mean, they're just kind of rolling hard anyway, and we've kind of seen, like, this is what these fucking people can do when they start rolling hard. Like, they are just laying fucking waste at this point, I guess, to these Ukrainians. But they are saying pretty definitively that, like, yes, fucksticks, Ukraine was involved in this thing. And to me, that does make sense because, yeah, like Tajikistan, this is an Islamic, I don't know, what do you call it, republic or an Islamic something or other, an Islamic fucking joint. Yeah, I'm sure they've got their share of, you know, bunny ears extremists. However, if some Islamic interest was going to go after somebody, anybody, like if somebody, like, we're going to go shoot somebody up, like, who would they go after? I mean, think this shit through. Like, one, it's fucking Ramadan. So if you are a fucking Islamic extremist, like you adhere very strictly to the tenets of Islam, well, one, you don't go after non-combatants. That's really just their thing. And I'll tell you what, from what I saw, they did seem to be, and I mean, I saw this in Iraq and Afghanistan, there is like the suicide bomber thing, and I think to some degree they do stick to the idea that, like, well, if we blow this thing up at the gate, you know, like at the gate of a U.S. facility or something, then the only people there are going to be people that are collaborating with them or cooperating with them. So if they get killed, I don't really care. I don't know. It's all very fuzzy, some of that. I do know that a lot of them tend to stick to this thing of, like, we don't go after non-combatants. But then I also know that they take a very different view of non-Muslims. But you have to consider again here that Russia, I guess, is like 10% Muslim. And I mean, it's a big fucking place, so who knows where all of them are concentrated. But I don't know that they would be cool with taking the risk of like, what if I kill an innocent Muslim by doing this thing in Moscow? So I don't know. It seems dodgy to me, just from that premise. It seems very dodgy to me. Two, why would you go there? Well, one, why would you attack Russian interests? Like, Russia has helped out in Syria, helped stabilize Syria. Russia doesn't really, so far as I know, doesn't appear to be doing anything that any Islamist group would be like, yeah, I got an axe to grind with these Russians. And even if they did, then my question would be like, well, why do you have an axe to grind with them more than you do with the U.S. or more than with Israel? Like, why not go over there? For a few dollars more, you could go over there. And then three, why did you get out alive? They never get out alive, man. When these Muslims do this shit, it is usually a one-way ticket for them. And I've always said, like, if you're going to do some wacky shit, it's not completely necessary that you die in the process. But that does seem to be their approach to this thing when they go that way, from what we've seen historically. So that raises some questions. And then lastly, the Ramadan question. Like, if you're such a religious extremist, like, why are you out here doing this shit during Ramadan? And I had heard the argument that, like, well, no, that would make it even better to do it during Ramadan. I don't know that, man. I mean, again, I don't know enough about Ramadan to say one way or the other, but from what I have seen, it doesn't seem to be, something they would typically do. So, I don't know. I find it very dodgy, but even from the U.S. perspective, I find it very, very dodgy that the U.S. was able to come out immediately and say, oh, no, Ukraine had nothing to do with this. Well, how the fuck do you know? Because when you look back, like, Vegas shooting, yeah, we'll never really know for sure, bro. There's no way that we can really know. The Uvalde shooting. Oh, bro, there's not really, some details we'll never know. 9/11. Oh, bro, we may never have all the answers. But now this suddenly that you have literally no fucking eyes on, presumably, like, why the fuck would you? Like, why the fuck do you have eyes in Tajikistan? Why the fuck do you have eyes in Moscow? You know more about that than you do know about what goes on in your own country. How the fuck is this possible? With this shit, before an investigation is even fucking done, the fucking Nord Stream pipeline, same fucking thing. Oh, bro, we may never know. But this, oh, no, we know for sure. We know absolutely, certainly. Okay, how the fuck is that possible? So in coming out that quick, man, it stinks to high heaven, dude. I don't know what the smart move would have been. I mean, I think the smart move would have been to not fuck around, I guess even if the U.S. had no involvement, because if the Ukraine had any involvement, the U.S. had involvement. I mean, it's just that fucking simple. I mean, it's old news that the U.S. runs the fucking show there. I mean, granted, that little Hebrew in the t-shirt definitely has his hands elbow deep in U.S. pockets, getting about as much money as he can fucking carry. But it's no secret that the U.S. is calling the shots there. Like, we are the ones. They're not going to do some shit like that without some level of U.S. approval. You know what I mean? So if it were to come back on Ukraine, it would have to come back on the U.S. So in putting out that warning a few weeks earlier like they did, that's hard to say then if this is unrelated, or was that a move to establish some level of cover beforehand? I mean, it's all very fucking dodgy. And they're saying that, like, yeah, we forwarded a warning, like we forwarded that warning, the same one that went out, I guess, presumably the same one that went out, via U.S. State Department saying U.S. citizens warned against da-da-da-da-da-da. But why would you not then, in good faith? Because, I mean, the U.S. already has a complete shit reputation in this regard anyway. Like, how much fucking around can you get caught doing? But here's one where even if you weren't fucking around, you have fucked yourself so bad that even if you had absolutely no hand in this, people are going to assume that you did, because you have a long, long history of fucking around. So this, I mean, to me, man, it's a very bad look, and it really toes right up to the edge of, like, dude, you are going to piss off these fucking Russians. I mean, they're talking now about this F-16 situation, and it's starting to sound like, I mean, I don't know where, honestly, exactly where that situation is, like the F-16 question, as far as getting F-16 sent over to Ukraine. That's been talked about for a while. It's been delayed a few times, but Putin has just come out recently and said, if you've got any F-16s and they make any move against Russia, then those F-16s, as well as wherever they park them, so essentially if they park them in Romania, they park them in Poland, you park those fucking things, those planes as well as that airstrip is going to become a fucking target. I don't know how the fuck, like, how do you go to the UN and, like, we bombed them and then, like, they came back and, like, bombed our airstrip, so, oh my God, they're, like, totally aggressing us, so, like, we want, like, resolutions too? Like, how the fuck do you sell this, man? So, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, looking at this situation, I don't know if this clown act, like, there's somebody has got to have a brain. There's got to be some kind of a play here. I mean, I keep telling myself there's no way these people are this fucking pants on head stupid that they're going to keep going in this same direction. Maybe that is the plan, is like, just sink this fucking thing. Like, let's just sink this fucking thing and get a do-over. But to that end, I wanted to hit a little bit on something I had seen. Like, I follow the Telegram channel that Spectre's got up and the accompanying chat. I think it's Spectre's Speakeasy, which is pretty cool. There's some cool discussions in there. I don't really chime in too much, but I mean, I don't really chime in too much anywhere, just because, I mean, I just read and move on. I'm just a lurker. I just lurk, bro. I just look and then I go. But there were some guys talking about, like, where in the world, man, can you get to, if shit starts to go sideways here, and it does look like it. I mean, it's not to that point yet, and really just the way things are, it's so volatile. Like, it could go real bad and then real good all of a sudden. Like, it could get really, really bad and then suddenly so much better, like better than it is now, or better than it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. How great would that be? But guys in there were talking about, like, dude, where's a viable escape hatch? Like, where could I fucking haul ass to? And I will tell you, man, I have looked around the world, and it is an extremely tough predicament to try to find a spot that offers an open door, offers a way ahead for an American on the run. I guess real quick, some of the places I looked initially at Argentina, and Argentina in just a civic sense it used to look pretty favorable. I mean, it didn't look bad. But, I mean, I'll tell you, like, this Javier Milei guy has just beaten the absolute shit out of that country. I mean, he is Tel Aviv's man in Buenos Aires. All that talk about, like, I'm going to trim down the government, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then, surprise, surprise, let me consult with my rabbi. So that guy has just upended that country. I have heard a lot of good things about Uruguay. I don't know enough about that to say for sure. I've heard there is a lot of European blood in Uruguay. That might be a favorable option as an absolute last resort. But again, that's a long fucking ways away, man. Looking at Brazil, I mean, Brazil's fucking Brazil, dude. It's called Brazil for a fucking reason. Like, it's a punchline for a reason. I guess there's a lot of Germans that live in Paraguay. I guess I had heard a couple things about Chile, and apart from that, man, South America, everything I've seen and heard about it is like, dude, you are living in fucking South America. The dangerous parts are very dangerous. If you can afford it, the nice parts are pretty nice. But everything that happens in that part of the world happens very fucking slowly. And you do have to get used to, I'll tell you right now, I haven't been to South America, but I've spent lots of time in the third world, and there's a very, very different mentality that you have to get used to, and that us as Americans, I think naturally have a difficult time with, insofar as, like, we have, like, an expectation, like, it's, I guess, that Germanic, European thing that, like, well, what are the fucking rules? Like, what are the hard and fast rules? How do we do business here? In that part of the world, there literally are no hard and fast rules. Like, it may say guns are illegal. Like, you can get a fucking gun. All right. I can tell you, like, in In the Philippines, I can tell you they have a law called the loose guns law. And the way this works, and this is a way that they arm up guerrillas on both sides of the fence, whether this is far left, far right, Muslim separatist, whatever. This is how one way that they arm them up. And I'll tell you that arming them up like this serves both purposes. Arming them up establishes like, hey, we have a serious opposition to the government here. We need foreign funding. We need aid. We need support. I need X, Y, and Z. So because there's a viable opposition, this gets the U.S. in the door and gets your tax dollars out of your pocket and into these fucking guys' pockets. So the way this works is, let's say that, and again, this is the loose guns law in the Philippines. I had this explained to me by a dude that lives there, not by a lawyer. So, interpret with care. If you're Filipino, please feel free to chime in, sir, and let me know what you think. How did it work for you? But the deal there is, suppose you find a gun. You find a gun, say it fell off the back of a truck. I don't know where it came from. Where the fuck did this thing come from? I don't know. If they can't establish where that gun came from and return it, say because the serial number was filed off, not because I filed it off, but because that's how I found it in the middle of the road. It's just how it was. I don't know what's going on, but here it is. I found this gun. Now you go to the authorities and you say, hey, I found this gun, but you make sure that you got a record of it, and I brought this gun to you, and I showed it to you, and I showed you that either there is no serial number or that we can't definitively say who owns it, based on the serial number you have. Then the government will establish a new serial number for it. I don't know, engrave it on the side or some shit, and now it becomes yours. It's just yours. You found it. It's yours. It's fine. You can keep it. I don't know if it works. I don't know if there's anything like that in the States. I would imagine if you found a gun in the States, like say you find an automatic weapon or something, if you took it somewhere, it would be like, one, where's the fucking serial number? If there is no serial number, or if it's removed, then I can tell you that in the U.S., possessing a firearm with a removed serial number is a felony. So they'll be looking at you immediately like, whoa, you're committing a felony right here. And you're like, asshole, I brought it to you. I'm telling you, I found this. And they'll make you feel like they're doing you a favor by just taking it away from you. So, here, I don't know. But over there, this is, kind of I want to say loophole, but I'm sure they reserve the same right that, like, I'll just take it away from you if I feel like it and be like, gun, what gun? You didn't bring me any gun. I don't know what you're talking about. But, I'm also pretty sure that, in the right situation, if you had it worked out just so, or the right money changed hands, then you'd be like, hey, look at me, I got a gun. And there nobody would have a problem with it. So as for how that works in South America, couldn't say. Country to country, couldn't say. But I will say that, as a foreigner, like, you're not going to be afforded the same kind of rights that you have in the States. I could say that without a shadow of a fucking doubt. Like, everywhere that I have been, I have never seen a place where they're like, well, yeah, you're foreign and everything, but, we treat everybody equal here. Like, everybody's equal under the law here. There are some times where they're going to crack down harder on the local population than you as an American, because they realize you've got money to spend, and you getting jammed up means you tell your friends, means they don't show up and they don't spend money. So they're going to cut you some slack. There's other times though where, like, you're going to get treated much, much worse. Like, Mexico, pissing in the street. If you've never been to fucking Mexico, I don't fucking recommend it. But, dudes used to be where, like, guys would go down to Tijuana, cross the border, you could party your ass off. Dude, I actually went to Tijuana when I was 17 fucking years old, and that was the stupidest fucking thing I could imagine. But, I remember seeing, like, Marines and sailors down there just getting fucking obliterated. And you can get shithouse drunk. They'll let you drink all day. But if the cops catch you pissing in the street, like in an alley or some shit, like, they're watching for this, and they will come and snatch you up and they will empty your fucking pockets. And if you give them any shit, they'll throw you in jail. And even now, between the U.S. and Mexico, there is no what they call status of forces agreement. So where if you're like, hey, I'm American military, can we work something out? They're like, I don't give a shit. Fuck you. You stay here, man. And they don't have any kind of system of like, here's your government supplied food for the day, or here's this, here's that. Like, you have whatever your family brings you or whatever you can afford. So if you don't have a way to pay for food, you don't have anybody bringing you food, you are shit out of luck. You're going to get very, very hungry. So it's not a good deal, man. So South and Central America, I mean, dude, it's even people that I've talked to that move here from South and Central America say like, dude, I'm not going back there. It's too fucking dangerous. And these are people that can walk around there and blend in like as natives. And they're like, yeah, I'm not fucking going there. So I don't know, I don't know what to say. I saw some guys talking about, guys were talking about some spots in Europe. And I mean, I guess, if you had to, if I was gonna pick a spot, I looked at East Bloc and I looked at places like Montenegro looks favorable, Slovenia looks favorable, Serbia even looks kind of favorable. I don't know, some of those places in East Bloc, they don't look bad. But I mean, again, trying to get citizenship, some of them didn't look too awful tricky. Places like Malta or Cyprus, whatever. But some of these places didn't look too awful tricky to get residency, get citizenship. But I mean, again, how particularly they apply some of these laws, I mean, it's up in the air, dude. It's hard to say. So, I mean, again, it kind of just becomes like, is it really going to be possible to find a place where you have more opportunities or a better chance of defending yourself than you do here? Because, I mean, it's a tough go, man. It's a very tough go. So me, I've kind of shifted away from looking at some of these overseas options and just kind of refocused on like, all right, dude, it's probably, no matter what comes, it's probably going to have to be just sticking it out in the States. One thing I did see really favorable overseas was I saw a little bit about Ireland, and it looks like Ireland, dude, is like these people are starting to mean some business. And I saw, I think I saw this as well on the Spectres chat, where they had a post of the Nationalist Party. And I didn't know, I just see Nationalist Party. I'm like, what's this talking about? This looks cool. But it's talking about the Nationalist Party in Ireland. And they really, really did a good job. And I don't know, honestly, to what degree these people absolutely are our guys or aren't our guys, or if these are just kind of people who have just kind of fucking had it. And they're like, all right, let's start talking some fucking sense here. All right, so they're talking about some really, really solid points here where they're talking about like the state in and of itself has a way of spinning things out of control, and they're using, more legal, politically marketable language. But the state has a way of spinning things out of control, and authority should be pushed down to a lower level. The state should be serving the nation, and it does the service of like differentiating here between state and nation. And if you can dig the origin of the word nation, this sort of stems from the same Latin word for like prenatal care. Get it? Like natal, like of the birth. So a nation, this is people of similar birth. And it speaks specifically to the importance of a racial kindred, a homogenous nation of indigenous people. So for Ireland, man, I mean, you're going to have a real hard time selling like this fella from Nigeria. Oh, he's typically Irish, ain't he? Like, no, I don't think so, friend. But they're talking about like, yeah, we're going to start taking care of Irish people, stop trying to take care of the world. We're going to look out for ourselves instead of looking out for everybody else. They're talking about cutting off migration and integrating a plan for re-migration, which is getting talked about in a few different places in Europe. But I think Ireland is one of the only places where they're really starting to hit at like enough of this EU bullshit. Like we're taking kind of an opposing stance to the EU, which I thought was really fantastic to see. But anyways, man, yeah, it's a pretty good day. Feeling pretty good today. Things might start picking up, dude. It feels like things could pick up a little bit out there. And I mean, I'm still always open to the opportunity for, things to go completely fucking sideways. I have pretty low expectations. But, yeah, man, things might just start swinging our way pretty soon, I think. But I'll tell you what, I am inclined to think that they're going to do their damnedest to manufacture some kind of a thing, some kind of a great white terror. Which reminds me, Ambrose had asked me to mention this in this episode, so I'm going to mention it right now. that, because we see a lot of these good things going on overseas, and I don't know, like, I'm not connected to anybody overseas. I don't think, except for, any of you cats in the chat. But any of these organizations that to us are just dudes that are just kind of standing up for their own rights, freedom to associate, freedom to say what's on their mind. But like in the UK especially, some of these organizations are already labeled as legit terrorist organizations. So if you're putting stickers out, they're going to say, like, oh, you're terrorizing the poor Africans. And they're going to say that you are a terrorist organization. So that is important because, and I mentioned this, like on one of the earliest episodes, I think. I don't remember which one it was. But they came out with a national strategy for combating domestic terrorism, right? I want to think this came out like 21 or 22. And they are talking about cooperation between Five Eyes. So Five Eyes, this is US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. So they're talking about a cooperation between these intelligence agencies. So why this matters is this, because in the US, so like CIA cannot look over your shoulder. CIA is not supposed to anyways operate stateside and be looking at, say, you. Even if you who happen to be listening, you're some off the wall, total head case terrorist with evil plans to do evil things. The CIA is not supposed to be looking over your shoulder. That would be FBI, presumably, I guess, or some other local law enforcement or some kind of thing. CIA should not be doing that. However, there's no such law restricting, say, the UK. Because if, say, you were in, I think National Action is one of the groups in England, in jolly old England, that's dubbed a terrorist organization. Although they've never attacked anybody or killed anybody, so far as I'm aware, they're still a bunny ears terrorist organization according to the law in the UK. So because they're a terrorist organization, you can bet that anyone they think is attached to them or in any way associated with them is going to be getting looked at by, I guess, MI6, the intel in UK. So the trouble with that is that if the somebody that they assume is associated with National Action is you overseas, now MI6 is looking at you. All right, so let's say, they're looking at you, they're looking at coffee, whatever. Now, MI6 can share that information with CIA, who can then share it with FBI. So whereas an FBI may have never had any reason to look over your shoulder because you're not here doing anything, they don't have any reason to cooperate with, an MI6 or anybody else. They had no reason to look at you because you're not fucking doing anything. You never said you were going to do anything. You never suggested doing anything. You're not associated with anyone who's ever done anything. You're not associated with any groups that are in the U.S. known as a terrorist organization. But because of this information sharing thing, this puts you essentially in the same boat as if they were looking over your shoulder the whole time. Now, bearing in mind that just like we've seen again and again, when these people say that we need to cut the throat of whiteness, that we need to smash, punch a Nazi, for crying out loud, right? Talking about physically assaulting you, talking about killing you. We need to take away their children. We need to throw them all in jail. We need to hold them down. We need to destroy them, destroy their lives, ruin them, all this shit. They can say these things outrightly about you because it's just speech, all right? But by the same token, you just saying something like, I've had it with these people. It's time to do something. It's time to take action. Oh, action? What kind of action? Why would you say action unless you meant something, some kind of kinetic act, right? They're going to interpret what you say very, very differently than the things that they say, even when the things that they say are things that lead to actual attacks or actual violence, all right? They're always going to be given the benefit of the doubt, all right? So what I'm saying here is we're doing really, really well. We are fucking winning. We don't need to do anything wazoo. It hurts us immensely if somebody was to do some kind of crazy fucking thing, some kind of wazoo nut job fucking attack. Like, that would be a huge kick in the nuts, right? Because we are kicking such ass. We don't have to do anything fucking nutty. All we have to do is sit still and let these idiots keep shooting themselves in the foot, which they are doing a fantastic job at. I mean, for instance, this deal with this fucking guy, I think it was in I want to say Texas, or maybe Florida. I can't remember which. One of those, Texas or Florida. This guy that put up this TikTok talking about like squatters' rights, and all you got to do is go in there, man, and just hang out and just sit in the house, and and they can't get you out. And these fucking illegals have been doing that, and I guess I want to say Florida or Texas, I can't remember which. Somebody just put it in the chat. That's the kind of attention that I pay. But I guess they're signing some kind of a thing to close that loophole. This guy got out there then and now he's whining like, ayúdame, por favor. Oh, my family es en más peligro, ayúdame. Because, people are like, hey, asshole, like, we're on your ass. And I don't know, what are they going to fucking do to him? Like, show up with a cardboard sign and say they don't like him? But, like, this guy cannot take the heat, man. So, like, he talked that shit. And then when people took notice and were like, hey, here's this fucking asshole, or here's where he lives, I don't know. Now suddenly he's calling for help and he's saying, oh, somebody help me. Here's how to skirt the law. Here's how to get over. Here's how to get free house for yourself and for your familia. But now suddenly he's yelling for fucking help, saying he wants fucking this. He wants. He wants a one-way ticket back to fucking Venezuela is what he fucking wants. Guys like this doing stupid shit like this are like a massive fucking red pill to these fucking normies that like we could talk to them all fucking day and like, look, man, I can only spell it out for you so many fucking ways. Like it's fucking obvious, and they're gonna look at you and like, no. If it was that simple, I would have figured it out myself. I'm a smart fucking guy. But, clearly not. So these guys like this doing this stupid kind of shit, these immigrant crimes, this crazy shit. This shit in New York. There was a really sweet video I saw of in Paris where they were starting to fucking deport some of these clowns, and they went batshit and started tearing up the airport. Great times. Like, how's it working out for you, man? So, like, the worm is turning, though, man. So now is the time where they really, really need somebody like you to fuck up. They really, really need somebody like me to fuck up. And as long as we don't fuck up, all we got to do is sit still, man. Like, these are the guys who got to cut it real fucking smooth. They got to manage those perceptions. They got to make these fucking terrorist attacks happen in Moscow while still directing it to the right person and away from themselves and covering their asses. We don't got to do shit. All we got to do is sit still and keep doing the right thing, and we're good to fucking go. But what I'm telling you, man, is be very, very careful. Don't just be satisfied with, I'm not doing anything illegal. You got to lawyer ball this shit. You got to Hebrew lawyer ball this. Put on your fake nose. Put on your glue-on side locks. Staple on your little tiny hat and walk around thinking like, how could I make this appear? How could I make it look like what I'm doing is some kind of terrorist hustle, like I'm collaborating to bring down law and order for the regular citizen? You got to think this shit through, all right? Because they really fucking need it. And the more they need it, the more they're going to be willing to bend the fucking reality to make it appear that way. So if you've got connections over there, man, I'm telling you, dude, like, we would understand, right? Like, if somebody says, like, look, bro, you got caught in the middle of a spot you shouldn't have been in, I can't associate publicly, man. I'll send you fucking books off Amazon, while you're locked up, or, I'll send you anonymous Monero or whatever to help keep the lights on. But understand, bro, I can't be like connected to you publicly where it's going to put my dick in a noose. You know what I mean? So if you got to take that stance, if you've got friends in UK, or if you've got friends somewhere that's like, look, bro, I'm up against it. This is the spot that I'm in. You got to make that fucking move. All right. And in the same way, don't be a fucking ass clown and put yourself at risk for somebody else. Yeah, just adopt that East German mindset, dude. Like, all your mail is getting opened, all your phone calls are being listened to, and you can say it's fucking paranoid, but what it's not going to do is end up where they can edit all of your shit together and somehow make it look like you started the Chicago fire. That's the last fucking thing we need. So until then, man, just keep doing the right shit, and the sun is going to keep shining. But as for me, that's about as much as I can stand for one day, and I'm sure you feel the same. So Until next time, leave this shit where somebody can find it, man, because like we always say, the world needs more people like us. And until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon, keep your neck out of the noose. I've been Coffee. These are my takes.